Hey folks, so I want to respond to Anna Akana because I love the fact that she loves psychology, so do I, and she's recently been digging into a book about your darker side. Now, I want to clarify a few points that haven't been brought up yet. So she's absolutely correct, and so are those doctors, and so was Carl Jung, and I believe so was Maslow. I think he dabbled into that one. But this research isn't exactly new. We just have more tools to be able to research it, which for this modern day, it is pioneering. So I won't argue that front. For today, it's pioneering, but it's not original. Carl Jung was talking about the darker side of our personalities, but we do need stressors. And that's one thing that Maslow's hierarchy illustrates, is that without stressors, we become complacent. Without stressing our muscles atrophying. Without stressing our brains, we end up with dementia, Alzheimer's, and other neurologically disabling disorders. We are built to be worked. Now, the catch on that is when you start embracing your darker side, like narcissism, psychopathy. Psychopathy has its values here and there. I am functionally autistic, so we have psychopathic traits here and there. I definitely had, because I am extremely pronounced, much more than you would guess. But with the darker side, there has to be moderation. Because for example, narcissism, I get why that works, but does it ultimately lead somebody to being fulfilled? No. Follow up on that. So for example, the narcissists that are more productive short term, are they happy? Now this whole ultra happiness thing, I'm 100% with you, Anna. Like it's entirely unnecessary. Because there's no such thing as true happiness. There never will be. There's simply a matter of our stress tolerance. So our muscles have a stress tolerance. You exceed that, they start ripping, tearing, and pulling. Our minds have a stress tolerance. You start exceeding that, we start becoming more erratic. We start engaging in different symptoms to show that we are stressed. Now, as far as stress being a part of what makes us sharper, absolutely 100%. It's why you can snap somebody out of it, like get somebody out. I've done that before. I used to be an NLP practitioner back in my 20s. And I still do that today. I basically brainwashed myself to where when I'm running into autism rabbit holing, basically I can snap myself out of it. Now, why does that work? Why does stress and all of that work for us? Why is it important? Simply put, free range parenting. So imagine this. You're out there with your brother, something snaps a twig. You hear it, he doesn't. What happens? Free range parenting. Only he became the free range, and you became the parent. And that's kind of how it worked. It was all survival up until a certain point, and now we have these bodies that have evolved to survive, to be acclimated to stress, and to adapt to stress. But when it comes to psychological dominance, or domination, there we go. Lord have mercy. This is an uncaffeinated day. But let's say somebody wants to dominate another person, right? That leaves psychological scars because it is not natural. We are naturally societal creatures. So there are basically three main constructs: alpha, beta, omega. Alphas, they lead. Betas, they want to lead. And the prerogative of an alpha is to be responsible. The prerogative of a beta, we're not going to go into that because I would have to overgeneralize for such a short video. But the long story short is moderation is key when it comes to embracing your darker side. We all have psychopathic tendencies. We all have sociopathic tendencies, narcissistic. America is horribly narcissistic, massively narcissistic. It's why Schadenfreude, we need to engineer a new term for projected Schadenfreude, or engineered Schadenfreude. Because we deliberately, like you said, like Anna said in the video, and what the doctors have been saying, repeating from the past, is when it comes to shaming somebody, that is projected. Basically, it's an ego response. The ego is a self-defense mechanism that doesn't distinguish between self-identity and physical self. It sees a threat as a threat, and it's an on and off switch. That's why we have the reactions that we have. It is a societal self-defense mechanism because we live in society and we are societally based creatures. It's why if we are in prolonged periods of isolation, our brain chemicals change. Number one, we ain't got no oxytocin because we ain't getting no good loving. Number two, our serotonin is going to spike a little bit more. Our cortisol is going to elevate. That's our stress hormone. That's what kicks in with adrenaline. And then finally, you got your dopamine, which is going to be at a minimum, and it's give or take depending on the person, whether norepinephrine goes up or goes down in extended periods of isolation. And again, this is a study that I read and a couple papers I read between 5 and 10 years ago. And while we say we've come a long ways, we haven't really learned anything new. We're just diving into the details of it. Nothing's new under the sun. Bible said so, and listen, I'm not going religious, right? But what I'm saying is there is wisdom to old words. I'll say profession, because I've been reading people and all of that for years. It's 3,000 to 3,500 years old. No, 3,600. So viziers and all of that, magicians and magi and all that good. That's what my kind were, because it's psychological trickery. It's just neurolinguistic programming before we labeled it as such. So I just want to throw this out there, a little bit of clarification, and I'm going to do some more videos on this because I'm going to start doing a radio show on psychology. And I'm not advertising it here. I'm just saying moderation and understand the context. A lot of psychopaths, a lot of narcissists, yes, they achieve their their present goals, but they are not happy people. They die alone. They die with midlife crises. And when they start losing, they go absolutely berserk. And that's somebody who is pathologically narcissistic, psychopathic, and so on and so forth, sociopathic, or acquired, meaning you've acquired it over a prolonged period of time or through a series of events. Again, it's very complicated, and to oversimplify, yes, you do need those traits that she's mentioned to some degree, or you need to accept the negativity in your life, but you've also got to recognize that there are actions that will be scarring to your psyche. Even if you achieve all of your goals, there are actions getting there that will be damaging to your psyche. Possibly, depending on how you go about it. Anyway, y'all take care.